Hello all, this is Brian from Earth to Hearth, and today wanted to talk about irrigation. So, well, a couple things beyond just irrigation. So as you can see here, I have turned this bed. This is where we previously did our potatoes. I have top dressed with compost in both of these beds. We still have our beans, the dry beans. So these are still growing and drying. And so we're going to be now rotating and adding new plants and seeds to this so that we can continue growing, because succession planting is sort of the best way for you to increase your yields in your garden, because most of your plants that you're growing are not going to be in there all season long. So if you're a beginner gardener and you're wondering how am I going to increase my yields, increase my space, especially if you're in a smaller space and you don't have acres and acres, you can still grow a lot, but you're going to have to just be very good and smart about succession planting, and after you pull something, doing it. Now, a lot of people will talk about rotation for like crop rotation. That can be important. Now, because I know for a lot of people doing no-till and just in general organic gardening, compost is such a thing. By adding a large amount of fresh compost, that does in many ways negate some of that loss. And from a pest management perspective, moving from this bed to that bed is not a major feat for any insect or pathogen, right? Funguses and viruses, cabbage moths can fly. I hate to break it to you. So moving from in this sort of space and size, you're not going to really have as much of an effect by rotating. I still do it. I think it's a good thing to do, just in general, but it's not something that you have to be religious about, is more what I'm trying to get at. It's not something to totally throw off your plans. But now, on to irrigation, because I now need to reset up my water, because I turned my water off and was just hand running the beans, so that the potatoes could kind of start drying and make it easier to harvest. Now I need to reset up, and as you see over here, I've been having issues with these kinking and getting pressure issues on the lines. Now what I have, of course, let's see if this will come off. So we're gonna do it. I went and got, now there are other ways you can do this. I know some people would do tubing. That is probably what I'm going to do long term. There you go. But what I went and got is an elbow connector. And so this way, this is going to mitigate the issues that I'm having with hose kink. I should have double checked. It should have come on. It's always when you're on camera, that's when you have issues, right? Yeah, so that way. Okay, good. These do have their gaskets. And that way, this will mean I don't have to worry as much about that hose kink. Took a break here, put you back on the heads, on my head, so I can be a little hands-free. But there is tubing, and I might look into doing that long term, because that's probably a better setup. And this is the one that broke. I don't know if you can kind of see. It was a pretty clean break. I went and super glued it back together. I do have another one, so if that does crack and break again, and it broke from me dropping it, I was just not being careful, and the other, when I moved this one over here, it broke. So, but all right, so that one's looking good. No, sorry, I actually want that to stay. All right, where are you? This is how I had it before, but when it's off, I want that one to be the end of the line because it's slightly downhill. Come on, it's always take a second just to get that to thread. Come on. Like I said, whenever you're on camera, that's when stuff wants to be difficult. Oh, yep. See, there we go. That's what I was afraid of. All right. Well, I'm going to take a little commercial break here. Let's go get the other one. Now, I have a heavier duty epoxy that will probably work for that. So I'll repair that and find somewhere else to use it. But because if I don't have to throw something away, I really don't want to. Again, all right, we're back. All right, the new one is here, so there's that. And like, if again, another thing for new gardeners, I think one of the best things you can do to improve your gardening experience and minimize issues is, let's see, we're gonna try doing this way. See if we can get this to go on. Oh, yeah. Ugh. Nope. It's gonna be easier with it being stable. All right. But no, by automating your watering, this one, it gives you time. Like, I think that's one of the most important things. You know, I mean, I really do enjoy watering. I enjoy being in the garden and just spending time in it. And that's whether I'm watering or not. And I do enjoy watering. Again, it's a great way to maintain a barometer of how everything is doing. Do things need more water? Do they need less? Etc. And if you're not there, that's where it can be an issue. But if you have anything larger than a small garden, and even if you don't even just have a small garden, I actually want to correct that, because one of the benefits to automation is you can make sure you are watering the correct amount, because that is definitely something that can be an issue when you're hand watering, is you think you've watered enough. All right, that should be good. That cuts over there. But because you're not really taking into account, all right, we're gonna want that one to kind of go over that way. This is an issue. I'm not sure if it worked. Let's get that out. Add it a little bit. And there, we'll have to turn it on and see. That should be okay. Want to get it over there because some of those, because of the way all the things have grown, are kind of blocking it on the backside. It still won't get everything, but that should be better. All right, probably a little bit. Yeah. All right. All right, who's ready to get wet? So I have some different timers that I use. So this manifold, so far, this one I got this year. I really like it, pretty compared to some of the previous ones. Why I like it is these pressure nozzles are really nice and smooth and easy to control the amount. We have high pressure, and that causes these things, if they're not made for it, they can have issues with it. And this allows me to really finely control the pressure and have less of an issue. So I have this thing going off every 2 days, so I'm not overwatering. And some of these beds hold on to water better than others, but in general, I don't, even with the heat we've had, because of the work we've done to the soil with compost and cover crops, it has built up that organic matter, and so it holds on to water really well, even during really high heat. So we do not want 10 minutes. Let's do 2. And the reason I'm doing this is, again, so I can adjust the pressure. See what needs to go. It's going to take a second as the lines fill up. All right, that one's doing good. These do overspray, but we have some plants, and we're going to be doing blueberries and other plants along the fence line. So, okay. you... Okay, this one is way... All right, and there we go. This is why you test stuff. All right, now we're getting there. Oh, right in the back. Even when you know it's coming, it doesn't. You can definitely feel it. All right, that. I think need a little more pressure. There we go. Yeah, you can hear it already. Just hear it. Just a little more. All right, that looks good. There we go. All right, that should be good enough. So yeah, and that worked perfectly. So with this, we're no longer getting kinking in these hoses. And they just kind of come straight down. Perfect. So there you go. So easy ways to solve your problems. This is a really cheap way to get sprinklers covered. Even if you're in a field, I have a similar setup down in the field for just your straight normal rows. If you're doing more of like a field cropping type system, again, these T-post waters are really cheap, easy to come by. T-posts themselves are cheap. You can use whatever tubing or hosing you have. And yeah, the issue, if you just get some elbow connectors, these will resolve any issues with kinking. The nice thing, if you need different angles, this will twist to do a different angle. So if I need it to come towards me a little bit, it will do that. I'll probably need to do some fine tuning, but that will be good enough for government work. Now, while we're on the topic of water and irrigation, I need to do a repair on one of my hoses, because again, with the way things are, need to repair things as much as possible rather than recycle or toss them. All right, so this hose finally, right in here, has started leaking and bit the dust. And so all we're gonna do is we're gonna remove this and then attach this new one in here, this new clamp, and we'll have a new hose. And I, rather than having to run to the store and grab a new one, a whole new hose, will have a fully working hose again and save a lot of money. I think this cost, I think it was maybe $2. So not exactly the craziest investment here. There are different versions if you go there. I don't remember. You know, so certainly see what works for you. But because of where it broke, thankfully, it is going to be significantly easier to fix. But if it did break, let's say further back in the line, all you'd really want to then do is the same thing. You're going to cut it. You're going to cut the hose to a new length and then slip this in. And so I'm hoping, I've done this before, but you know, I might have grabbed the wrong pliers, unfortunately, but let's see. All right, maybe not the cleanest, but my multi-tool here, which has a knife. You can just kind of clean this up a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. We are not about perfection here. We're about practicality. Too far. Okay, so we're gonna try and put this on here. We got a little bit, not that much room. So hopefully this all works. This will be nice and tight and secure. And I will have a newly working hose. If not, well, I do have more hose length I can do, and I guess I'll be going back to the hardware store to try another one of these. But I think this will work. At least this will extend the life. And like I said, $2 fix is worth it. This gives me another season or two out of it versus having to buy a whole darn new hose. So nice and tight. Doesn't have to be torqued, but just nice hand tight. Probably could do that a little tighter on that side. All right. You see, we only lost a little bit, and I'm not sure what part in there broke, but just something in that sealing. It was just leaking out of there. So add this back on. I'm gonna turn the hose on and see if it leaks really badly. All right, here we are. Hose is on. See? And it's not leaking. Look at that. $2 fix, probably less. And with the elbow connectors, I think those were a few, maybe $3 or $4 a piece. So, you know, you don't have to be. I am not a plumber by any means. So, but you don't have to be super handy to do sometimes some really simple fixes that can save you a lot of money. And again, irrigation is probably one of the most important and can be one of the most costly mistakes you can make for gardening, you know, self-sufficiency on your homestead, your farm. So getting your irrigation right is really critical. And again, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. But everyone learned something from that, and I hope you will be able to take that and use that and update your own irrigation systems and have that make your life easier, and make sure your plants get the water they need but don't get overwatered. All right, everyone have a great day.